how does this mindfulness practice help us in daily life?
Yeah, it would be so wonderful if we just had like a magic thing that could make our minds stop. um, but we would miss something really important, which is,
Mm,
the gift of knowing the mind. Yeah, I think we have a tendency sometimes,
mm,
even as meditators, to demonize the mind. Oh no, too many thoughts. But if we can recognize that we have this capacity to to see the thoughts, even to appreciate the thoughts, even to have a sense of
mm.
humor. I mean, I find that I need that often, like a sense of lightness or humor.
Yeah.
When I notice what my mind is doing in my daily practices, um, if we can hold the mind and relate to the mind in a different way, then we might find that that
Mm,
transforms how we relate to everything else. So it's the gift of this
mm,
practice is recognizing that we don't have to stop the mind at all. What we want to do is cultivate a different kind of more compassionate, interested, curious relationship with this thing that we call mind. And in the recognition of
mm,
that, we might have moments of recognizing that actually maybe I'm not any of these thoughts. Maybe my awareness is vaster than any of these thoughts. And so there's
mm,
the gift of like this growing capacity to be with thoughts like we would be with the different aspects of a river. Sometimes the river is like
mm,
charging ahead, sometimes the river is lovely and clear and peaceful. And we don't judge the river, we can just witness the river and kind of
mm,
even befriend and love the river for all that it
mm,
provides. And so for me, it's more about cultivating that capacity to be with my thinking, and also to
mm,
be in my experience, in my body, in a completely different way. And that for me
mm.
feels more beneficial, because I think there's so many interesting things that happen in our minds on a daily basis, in terms of our relationships, in terms of the things that happen every day. And if we can
Yeah.
watch that with more curiosity and lightness, then that can transform how we actually are with ourselves, how we are with each other, how we meet the moments of our lives.
Mm. And it all begins with how we meet ourselves, as you're describing it. It's how we meet ourselves when thoughts arise, not if, but when they arise in practice and emotions arise or sensations in the body arise. How do we be with those? And I really appreciate how you described it because it really gave the sense of relating. Like, how do we relate when I have a thought that I don't want? Am I fighting it? Am I resisting it? Am I blaming myself? And now we're reacting. So there's a whole component of learning to be with ourself, but with a new way, kindness, compassion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel that is, for me, that was one of the real keys, and it is one of the real keys, is this cultivating not only attention, but a kind attention, a loving attention, dare I say,
Mm.
um, an attention that meets everything that's here with acceptance, with equanimity, with care. Because, it's that old cliche, but for me, it feels very true that if we can meet ourselves in that way, we might meet those around us with a little
Yeah.
bit more of that capacity. But if we are really struggling, I find that when I'm struggling inside of myself and judging myself, everything contracts. And then the way that I meet
Yeah.
everybody else also gets contracted. So that point of softening and
Mm.
recognizing that inner critic or that judgmental mind that's got its own story, and sometimes that story is relentless and very familiar. But at that point of being able to catch it and soften it, we have a choice to reflect kindness towards ourselves, and then that gives us
Mm.
a choice to reflect outwards in a different way.
Which really helps us even like decision making. If we're making decisions out of reactivity or upsetness, it's very different than kindness, compassion, and When you were describing earlier the spaciousness of the river, like I felt space. Like, oh, I'm not just my thoughts. I'm having an upsetting thought, but I'm not the thought. So there's something about being with. Hello there, and thank you so much for stopping by this channel. I hope you find this content useful, and if you do, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It will really help me to reach to more people and keep this content going. Here we are journeying together, and let's see where this takes us.